I'm Judge Penny Wolfgang. After the May 14th racist shooting at the supermarket on Jefferson Avenue, hundreds of thousands of people reached out to help, donating millions to the National Compassion Fund. How will that money be distributed? We'll find out. How have rideshare companies impacted taxi transportation? Reporter Tony Farina gets behind the wheel with the answer. And it's time for the Erie County Fair. What kinds of new food will be served? We'll head out to Hamburg for a taste. Right here, right now, on The Big Picture. Welcome to The Big Picture. Over $5.4 million has been donated as of this recording to the Buffalo 514 Survivors Fund. But what's going to happen to this money? Who's eligible, and how will that be determined? This is all being organized by the National Compassion Fund, with donations being made to the website nationalcompassion.org under the direction of attorney Jeffrey Dion, who has worked for years helping people following several tragic shootings across the nation. Dion was in Buffalo recently to announce plans for eligibility and a timeline for disbursements, a task he is not doing alone. A steering committee made up of over a dozen prominent community leaders are joining him to talk with victims' families, gather information, and work together to make sure it's properly handled. A public forum was held recently at City Honor School to hear from residents, allowing Dion and the committee to outline their plan. We talked with Dion about his motivation to take this on. Tell us the very inspiring story of how you got interested and involved with this whole committee.
Sure. When I was 14 years old, my 23-year-old sister Paulette was murdered. She was the victim of a serial killer. And it changed. It was 1982. Victims' rights were just beginning. I wrote to the police because I wanted information, and they said, we're not sending you anything. And it was my first act of victim advocacy. It's part of the whole reason I became an attorney and dedicated my career to working on behalf of victims. And when I helped respond to 9/11 with that fund, letting people know what their options were. And so then in 2012, the victims of the Aurora Theater shooting came to us at the National Center for Victims of Crime, and they said, we don't like how our fund is being administered. They said, we want you to set up a new fund for us. And I thought, well, rather than just do that for you, what if we put an infrastructure in place so when one of these incidents occurs, we can flip a switch, we can start accepting contributions from the general public, and we can make sure that 100% of it goes to the victims of that crime. And that's what we did. And that this is the 23rd fund that we've done since 2014.
How does this compare? I mean, the questions and the input that you got today, is it the same, different from others that you've handled?
Every fund and every incident has its own flavor, just like every community has its own flavor. And, what the community brings to it is its strengths and its challenges. There were challenges in East Buffalo, they remain, and the incident that happened on 514 exacerbated some of those. But what I've also learned about is the city of good neighbors, and seeing how and talking with survivors, and they say, I always heard that, but I never saw that until this happened. That a woman says, 4 rabbis came to my house and blessed my house. People brought food, Wegmans sent food, people gave money, and I told them, it's inspiring to hear that, but know that many of those people weren't just doing that one thing. Many of the companies that were providing food and helping you, I've also seen their checks come into this fund as well. So people are helping on a number of levels, and I think that's what it takes to bring a community together. What happened on May 14th was an act of hatred. And the only thing that counters that is people coming together with love and compassion. And the response has been overwhelming. Yes, a lot of money's come in, but it's not just on GoFundMe. It's the checks, and it's from regular people and $25 and the notes that they have with it that say, you know, this is important because this is my community, or someone saying, I don't live in Buffalo anymore, but I grew up there and this matters to me. And so people care and they want to help, and that's the way that they've found to do that. And we just want to be good stewards of that gift and help forward it to the people and honor those donors' intent.
At the meeting, Dion offered details on the protocols established for eligibility. For the legal heirs of those killed, those who suffered a gunshot wound or other type of injury, people who were present in the store or adjacent lot and suffered psychological trauma, or TOPS associates of the Jefferson Avenue store, present or not at the time of the shooting. The public was offered an opportunity to ask questions and offer comments.
Good evening. My name is Samuel A. Crooked, and I'm a concerned citizen of the city of Buffalo, and I'm a TOPS market customer that don't live in the Madison district. I live in the Fillmore district, but I drive from there to Broadway to do my shopping at TOPS market. I want to say this to TOPS representatives tonight. Thank you for all that you are doing to help Black people. Black lives matter.
Tell us about your relationship with TOPS, and you mentioned that you were working there, but you weren't there at the day of the shooting.
Well, I have been employed with TOPS on Jefferson for 2 years now, since I was 16, 2020. TOPS is definitely, at least the employees have given me some of the best moments of my life, actually. All the employees, you know, they're really like family. There's really just a sense of community, you know, between each and every one of my coworkers, which is why, you know, it really saddened everybody when that happened, which is understandable, but it hurt even more so for the people. I don't want to say for the people who just worked there, but it definitely hit different for us because we definitely lost people who we cared about too, including customers.
And I heard you say that you were planning on going into the service, and we're very proud or very happy about that. Could you explain it?
I'm actually already enrolled as of August 2nd. I will be out of here, Chicago, Great Lakes, for Navy basic training, yeah.
Thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. You as well. God bless.
Some of those present had a direct connection to the incident and were emotional as they talked about the horror they encountered as they moved forward. We heard you talk about your experience, but could you tell us a little bit again about what happened to you during the day of the shooting?
Well, I was in a store and with my daughter and my baby's father, her father, and we just heard shots ring out. We were on either side of the store. We couldn't even find each other, and it was just a traumatizing ordeal.
And you were talking about the trauma that's happened afterwards in your mind, and how you haven't been able to work or, you know, do anything that you were planning. Just tell us a little bit about how it affected you.
I was supposed to be like going to school, and I had a good paying job, and it was like one of my dream jobs that I've always wanted, but I stopped going and I withdrew for school before I started classes because their classes started on May 16th, so it was like too soon, so it's like been affecting my life a lot.
Will the fund that we're talking about today be able to help you recover and help you in your future?
It will help me financially, but we will see if it helps like psychologically, because that's what matters in me and my daughter's like life, except for funds. I don't care about like the financial part because I can get through that.
One of the committee members is Tiara Parker, a survivor of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. Parker told those in attendance that these monies are a gift and that she and her family were grateful for what they received following their incident. Would you mind telling us and explaining your association with the fund and how you came to be working with them?
Absolutely. So I came to work with the National Compassion Fund because I was recommended with a good friend of mine who works. Her name is Anita Bush, and she recommended that I become a part of the fund because I'm also a part of her organization as well, called Victims First. So they're the reason why I'm here. I willingly joined this organization because I feel as though that those survivors, victims of crime of any type, definitely need a voice, regardless of where they are in this situation, whether it's psychological, physical, or any other type of trauma that they may have experienced from the ordeal. I think for me, being a part of this fund is to make sure that I am this voice and I can walk in this whole momentum for them. I lost my cousin, so I know what it's like to not have somebody speak for me. And I know, everybody, I tell everybody all the time, the lights and the cameras go off, but there's still a life after this. And, I understand everyone has things still has to go on, but things still need to be done and things are happening. So how can we get on the verge of making sure that victims of crime get what they need? And only the victim knows what they need. So that is the whole purpose of why I do my work. Outside of the National Compassion Fund and everything else, I also run my own organization, the Global Activist Awards, honoring people in the community who also do the same work that I do. So, and I honor them all over nationwide. Hosted my first gala last year on June 25th, which is the day that I buried my cousin Akira. It was her anniversary, and I figured we'd bring something a little bit more positive, and also that, she sees it too.
I just want to bring up when you said about your cousin, I don't mean to dwell on it, but can you explain the circumstances of how your cousin was involved? It was in another incident.
Yes, absolutely. So just to make a very long story short, we were on vacation. We were literally doing our annual family vacation. It was nothing different, nothing new. We were visiting Orlando, Florida, just to go to the Universal Studios, why not? Favorite place, by the way. So we went to go and visit, and she wanted to go out. We agreed, why not? We're on vacation. We went, a night of fun turned into a night of tragedy. And that's what happened. We was in the bathroom for hours. She ended up, towards the end of the night, we found out she was shot in the back of her head, and she was laying on my back. So I had to pull her into my lap. And I did not know this until after seeing the autopsy report, well after her funeral.
And you'd never been to the Pulse where it happened before?
No.
Or
I wasn't from the area, so I wouldn't know nothing about the area. We just Googled, and it came up because I was 20, an old friend of mine was 20, and my cousin was 18. So we had to find somewhere that would have fit us all, because neither of us were over 21 to go to any other club.
And as many years ago as this happened has motivated you to keep active and to go all across the country with this cause?
Yeah, this is my therapy. I do this because this is what I want to do. This is how I make sure that these victims speak for this, because when you guys leave me, I go right back to my room, I get on my computer, and I continue to reach out to people who need me. And that's just that. I don't waste no time. I don't hesitate. I teach people how to not only just advocate, find the resources they need so they can get some advocates for themselves, but also be an advocate for themselves. So that's my whole goal.
But I think what some people said is so true. We have to make sure people get legal advice, because there are a lot of scammers out there. And when they get this money, we want to make sure that they use it wisely. And also, we're concerned about the benefits cliffs. And that's something that the Community Foundation has identified. That's when you get money like this, somehow or another you lose your benefits. And that's why we call it a gift, so they will not lose those benefits. And that's important, because a lot of the people in the community are on social services, disability, and whatever. So we want to make sure they continue with those resources.
There is a timeline for all of this, with online applications that can be found at nationalcompassion.org/Buffalo. There you will find everything you need to know, including all the written text of the protocols. Dion and the committee expect funds to start being distributed in late October. We salute Jeffrey, Dion, and the committee for their hard work in helping those in our hometown impacted by this tragic event. We'll be right back with more of The Big Picture.